John!
Gareth, it's good to see you.
8 years ago, you came to GRASSMEN HQ with, I'm going to call it version 1 of a 435.
Yep, you are correct. You're absolutely correct, yep. So TF4i 435, first JCB wheeled loader with lock-up torque converter, and now we're on version 3.
And you set that up with us, spent a couple of days, and then disappeared off into the sunset, came all the way over to sunny Australia, and you've been heading up JCB Agriculture, which was meant to be for 2 years.
Yeah.
COVID hit, and you're here 7 years.
I am, yep. So JCB moved me over in 2017 to look after the ag business for the Pacific. We're Australia based. 80% of the volume's in Australia and 20% in New Zealand with the Lampard guys, which I think you've also already met.
Yeah, okay. But tell me a little bit about JCB Down Under.
So JCB's been in Australia for over 40, 50 years, primarily with the backhoe. So originally with the backhoe loader, was like the #1 backhoe loader in Australia back in the day. There's been a lot of hard work gone in by we've got a distributor called CEA, who is the JCB importer for the whole of Australia, and they've got 25 sub-dealers, about 60 locations looking after rural Australia. We're obviously in Melbourne right now, which is one of the construction dealerships, but it also does a little bit of agriculture. When I moved down in 2017, the mandate was clear. We had a big job to do in terms of creating the telehandler market. There's a big opportunity down here for telehandlers, and we've been doing that well since 2017. We're #1 for materials handling in Australia and New Zealand, but just focusing on Australia.
But it's not that you're taking out the competition.
Yeah.
The competition as such seems to be tractor and loader.
Yeah, absolutely. If you looked at Australia from a materials handling market, we're very much like the UK and Ireland was in the 1980s. Everybody had a tractor loader. Telehandlers are pretty rare, and we're working away at pretty much every farm trying to get a telehandler onto it. There's still a lot of work to be done. There's about 4,500 tractor loaders sold a year down here, and as it stands, we've got over 65% share of the world's number one telehandler. But then the good bit about JCB and our products is we can work with the guys in the factory in the UK and the engineers. So whilst the base product is the same as what the European guys take, we've tweaked all the model range to suit Australia. The entire ag range here is 40 kph. The joys of having our own engine, we can customise the engine for our own legislation. So all our telehandlers being sold down here are non-AdBlue products, no DPF. Really, really popular with the Australian farmer in the outback.
All your harvesters, which ironically there are very few sold in Australia in comparison to the UK. I think even Ireland beats Australia for total numbers of new foragers.
Yeah, absolutely. There's only 12 to 15 new foragers sold a year in Australia. It's a very, very small market.
I know, and of that we have been with one of the guys that probably counts for a fair percent of that. It puts it into perspective that whilst Australia is its own continent, and it's a vast country, these guys drive 10 hours just to do work.
Yeah, massively.
If we did that at home, we would go from one end of the country to the other, and we would pass hundreds of products doing that. So it's an eye-opener from that point of view.
And when you talk about geography and the size of Australia, so you're right, it's a continent, it's the size of Northern Europe, but there's only 25 million people here, and I think 60% of the population are all city-based and on the coast. So there's a large chunk of country that's being farmed with a really tiny population, and you've got some farmers farming up to sort of 50 to 100,000 hectares, and we've got dealers looking after machines that could be 8 to 10 hours away as a drive for service a point. So the country is vast, it is massive. The farming style is completely different to the UK and Europe. It's very much a low input, low output model, completely weather dependent. And we're very lucky in the UK how much rain we have. We've got guys growing crops over here with rainfall that we wouldn't even imagine to try and grow a crop with. But it's very North American based in terms of how it broad acre, row crop farming. It's very, very different to European style of farming, which is why you said you drive massive distances and you barely see anyone.
Last week, I think it was 10, there might have been some already up there, but there was 10 8330 fast tracks, along with 10 Smith trailers, left Monk and Son HQ and started on a 23-hour journey. and they've been there ever since. And we called out to the Liverpool Plains, which is meant to be the most fertile ground.
Yeah, it was a great ground.
In Australia.
Well, I think if you think about it though, you know, by the time you put it on a truck, and you know, it's at least one truck per tractor, and the cost and the fuel cost and the bill with that, it makes sense to drive them. But you know, on the tractor front, you're right, we are having a massive push on tractors. Again, unlike the UK and Europe, our main focus is the 300 horsepower sector. You know, the A330 is our most popular model, and those tractors here are, you know, Sam's using them to pull massive silage trailers, you know, going all the way up to New South Wales and South Australia, and then working his way back to Victoria. But then we've got big broadacre farmers towing 14,000 litre sprayers, spraying 48 metre widths, doing 40k an hour.
Yeah.
You know, they're used for completely different applications. Then in the summer, they're on 45-ton chaser bins in harvest.
And you have a market for 4220s out here as well.
We do. It's not as big.
No.
You know, it's probably more in Victoria. Victoria is a bit more UK based, slightly more rainfall, a bit more dairy and livestock down here. And then we also have 4220s that people will take a brand new 4220 and cut it in half and turn it into a spreader tractor and put a massive fertiliser spreader on the back. So.
We looked at the new 457 coming through. How are they doing? How are the guys in New Zealand finding them? Do they need them? Is a 435 that's beside you adequate, even though it's on 620 tyres? We'll refuse to talk about that.
Yeah, no, this is a slightly special order. It's not normally like this. All our 435s tend to be on 750s. This is for one particular customer because it's even got high lift arms. So it's this thing's actually going to be feeding cattle.
That's more for a feedlot type of a thing.
Yeah, that's what it is. Yeah.
What about the 457? Is it the be all and end all, or what's the honest feedback?
Look, I've got a very special place in my heart for this thing. You know, all the work we did, and you know, the stuff we did nearly 10 years ago on the TFRI product. I love the 435. I suppose the 457 was primarily developed for the big biogas guys in northern Germany that wanted a 20-ton wheeled loader to move vast amount of maize in one hit. So nice, slow, steady movements, but all the weight for compaction, but better performance than our competitor in a typical construction wheeled loader. So we took, you know, sort of the DNA that we know that works in the S's in terms of, you know, 419 and 435, and packaged that into the 457. And our customers in New Zealand absolutely love it. So we've got 4 machines running over there at the moment. You guys obviously done a load of filming with them. Yeah. And they're mainly to support contractors who are buying bigger forages. So instead of running, you know, 4 or 5 foragers, they're, you know, going to sort of 980, 990 class Jaguars. And they want a bigger machine just to literally help with compaction and moving more material in one go. And a lot of that, I think, is being driven by the fact we're all struggling for labour. So everybody, you know, in the agricultural industry is struggling for labour. So everyone's kitting up with bigger kit, you know, no different to Sam with big trailers to try and account for that, and obviously bigger machines. But the feedback from New Zealand has been brilliant. The guys absolutely love it. The
457 packs approximately, and Mike, you just keep me right here, we're talking 5.5 odd tons more weight.
Yep, it's a 20-ton. It's a 20-ton machine.
20-ton machine versus
whereas it's like 14.5, 15 ton by the time you put a fork on it. Yeah. From a performance point of view, these will always be slightly faster, you know, a little bit lighter, higher power to weight ratio. But for the guys running the big 990s where they want to move in one big go, the 457 is more adequate.
Evolution is always happening, and there's always, and you know, you chat to the engineering guys in any company, they're always wanting more and getting more and looking at how they make more horsepower.
Well, there's that famous JCB phrase, isn't there? You know, from Lord Bamford's father, you know, the founder, Joseph Cyril Bamford, jamais content. You know, never happy. You know, and with a sense of urgency. So that's one of the great things about JCB being a family-owned business, is we're always evolving, we're always investing in the product, and we're always trying to improve it. And it's all about what the customers want. You know, it's not what our shareholders want or share price. It's purely right. How do we make your machines more productive, more efficient for you, Mr. Customer? Yeah. And how can we make you more profitable? And if you look at the S range from where it's come from in the 80s as the first ever dedicated ag wheel loader to where it is today, that is testament to that we've listened to the marketplace and we keep evolving the products.
So JCB Agriculture and JCB CEA, they're essentially the importer.
Yeah, absolutely. They've been our importer for over 20 years. So we've got an importer for Australia. Yeah. So they distribute all the machines in Australia, and they support all the machines. So they sell the machines to their dealer network. They've got their own parts facility, their own service support, and then we're in market to support them, to make sure that we're all on the same page. We're trying to grow the market. Then we're also feeding back to the factories of exactly what product we need. You know, making sure we're, you know, look, all the commercial side of the business stacks up, that we've got the right parts on the ground, all the people are trained to support the machines.
Just from chatting with Sam, his dealer's Michael's up in...
Yeah, absolutely. One of the sub-dealers, yeah. Michael's in Moama.
With 17 odd fast tracks floating about, and is it 7 435s and with a couple of load alls or whatever he has. Yeah. There's going to be workshop work, and Sam has very high praise for the backup that he gets from Michael's, whether it's warranty or whatever side of things. So that's a positive for you to take.
No, definitely. I think, you know, if I look at, you know, all my previous trips to being based there in 2017, customer support's been key. You know, you can sell the person the first one, but if you can't back it, you're never going to sell them a second one. So, and with our vast area that we've got in Australia, the backup is so important. And we've got some amazing sub-dealers as part of the CEA distribution. They are so yellow, it's not even funny. You know, they really do a great job to support the products. They all go wrong. You know, no manufacturer will ever tell you that everything's perfect. It never is the case. They all break, and it's how you fix them and how you support the product that is the most important thing for me. But testament to our backup is why we're number one for telehandlers in Australia. You know, if our backup wasn't good, we wouldn't be number one for these things. Unless you've been here, and a lot of young lads have at this stage come out, and we encourage young guys to come out, whether you want a mechanic, whether you want to drive tractors, but the conditions that those they're savage, and it's, you know, and we've not always got it right. You know, if you look at where we've taken particularly Series 3 to today for our telehandler customers in agriculture, there's been huge changes made to Series 3 to suit Australia. You know, we've got really fine dust in the air, and you know, you see all the red dust on all the TV programs, and you know, you'll see it in all the cars and utes you're driving around at the moment. It's unbelievably fine. And then, you know, you take today, it's an autumn day and it's 28 degrees. You know, there's a lot of work gone in to make our machines suit Australia. But that dust is so fine, and when you're chatting to Sam's workshop guys, it's so fine. And we're talking trailers, we're talking axles, we're talking bearings, we're talking harvesters, we're talking everything. That gets in. It gets in absolutely. We're normal, and the dust that they drive through. But then yesterday we went from conditions following a fast track and a Smith trailer through. You couldn't drive anywhere near it. You couldn't see with a trail of dust. To then the tractors, I'm assuming, in 4-wheel drive to try and pull the trailers through parts of the road that had been flooded. Like those are. No, but the conditions here are unbelievably extreme, and you know, 40 degrees on top of that. Well, yeah, today, like we said, autumn day today, and it's 28 degrees. You know, you wouldn't have many autumn days in Europe that would be 28 degrees. But you know, it's from a country, from being a continent, there's always one part that's on fire, there's always one pit that's flooded, there's always one bit where some natural disaster, unfortunately, to do with whether it's mouse plagues, frog plagues, but it's also known as a lucky country. You know, Australia as a country is full of resource. You know, some of the best growing ground in the world here, some very innovative, brave farmers who are not afraid to look at new technology to try and get that little extra 1%. You know, and remember, there's also no subsidies down here either. You know, it's incredible what these guys can grow a crop in and how they farm and some of the conditions they work in and some of the conditions these machines work in. Would you look at just look at the business that we've been out filming? You look at Monk and Son. You look at the growth, the projection, the growth that business has had. You know, it's very hard for anyone to fathom that that's possible at home. But it is. Well, no, and you look at Sam's younger than me, and I'm not exactly old. And Sam's done an incredible job to grow that business from when I first met Sam in 2017. It's absolute testament to him. But I think that sums up Australia as the lucky country. And you said earlier, you know, people will have been here, but I would encourage everyone to come to Australia. So if you're in the UK and you're in Ireland right now, and you want to come and live and work in Australia, do it. You know, the opportunities here are phenomenal. And the work is here. The work is here. People are screaming for hard-working people from home, and you'll have a great time. And yeah, you might get a little bit sunburnt like I do regularly, but it's absolutely brilliant, and you'll have a good laugh. Well, you have 7 years, I think, roughly 7 years now done here. I'm probably running out of time. I've probably got another 12 months before I get dragged kicking and screaming back to the UK. But I look at what we've done from 2017, particularly with the fast track. You know, we've done some incredible work with the dealer network on growing the fast track business. I'm really proud of all the effort everyone's put into tractors and the dealers, and also let's not forget the customers. Without them, you know, we don't have a business. And I look at what we've done with the telehandler growth, again from 2017 to where it is today, is staggering. And there's still more to be done. We're not done yet. So there's lots to get stuck into. Sam is probably Australia's largest agricultural contractor. He's the largest contractor in the country. I think we figured it out the other night in Melbourne when we were all together, that he is the largest fast track user in the Southern Hemisphere. Exactly. And they love them. Yeah.
They're not without their issues.
Well, like I said earlier, I think
love them.
if you look at the product today, especially A330s and 4220s, and Sam's got non-icon products, it's the best product we've ever had. There's always been, the fast track has evolved, and you've had older fast tracks, you've got a 4220, and you can see how much money we spent on that tractor to launch that back in 2014, 2015. And again, I'll go back to it. Any manufacturer that tells you they're all perfect's lying.
JCB has one thing that you have to give them, no matter where your viewpoint is, no matter what colour your brand is. Anyone that spends time driving a fast track loves it.
Absolutely. So, and you look at the tractors and you look at the size of this place, especially the guys pulling spray rigs, towing big trailers, they're perfect. You get it, you do a 12-hour day and you don't know you've been sat in the tractor.
Yeah.
They're absolutely perfect for Australia. They really, really are.
Well, John, thank you very much for looking after us a little bit when we're out here, showing us around, and in particular, thanks very much for inviting us to be with you at the F1 in Melbourne. I'm 41 now. I've seen a few things in my life, but that's a big thing for JCB. That kind of blew my mind as well. When Mark Webber came in and had a chat with the room and just singled out JCB.
Well, and Mark Webber's just taking delivery of 2 new machines. So Mark Webber's just taken a new skid steer and a 14-ton excavator.
And he was straight over to us guys and had a chat with us all, and I was just like, it's Mark Webber, whatever.
Yeah.
And to see that, but not just that there, behind the scenes, these guys, you were flat out busy. You had there was 3 red flags.
Yeah, there was 3 red flags. So and we had 14 machines at the Grand Prix supporting it.
And there was JCB's getting prime time TV.
Yeah, no, we got some really good coverage. It was good. But the Formula Ones, we want more crashes, more JCB skis. So.
You don't want them in the Aston Martin team,
No, we don't want to pick our own cars up. No.
But I tell you what, I did notice about the strength of the JC brand, and this is completely off topic. You look at the Aston Martin cars, and we know JCB's a supporter. Every sponsor on there in white writing, except for the JCB logos.
No, we're really proud of our brand. We're really proud of the logo, and that Aston Martin's a perfect synergy. British brand, British company. Everyone's favourite luxury car brands.
And they're going well, 3rd and 4th club there at Melbourne.
Yeah, incredibly well.
John, thank you very much for taking a bit of time and explaining to us a little bit.
Well, thank you.
JCB Down Under.
Thank you for visiting Australia. It's been great to have you both, and I hope you've had a good time, and don't be strangers.
We'll maybe see you back home soon next.
Yeah, well,
hopefully.
I might see you at Agritechnica. I'll be back for Agritechnica.
Good man, John. Thank you.
Thank you very much. See you.